Disney Parks' biggest event of the year is in just a few weeks, Destination D23, and everyone's speculating about the major announcements for the Marvel, Star Wars, Avatar, and Villains rides coming to Disney World, Disneyland, and beyond. Imagineering has so many projects right now, there is a literal multiverse of possibilities. So here are 23 predictions of what we'll see and what we definitely won't see at this year's event. Hi, I'm James from Guide to WDW, and you know that thing that parents say, oh, if all your friends jumped off a cliff, would you do it too? Well, apparently the answer for me would be yes, because seemingly everybody is trying to predict what Disney is going to announce at Destination D23. True story, I was just watching YouTube and I got an unskippable political ad where Senator John Ossoff said that he thinks they're going to bring back the People Mover to Disneyland. So because I have a whole show dedicated to predicting the future of Disney parks, and because I can't help myself, I'm going to throw my Mickey ears into the ring and share my predictions. 23 of them to be on brand. I'll start with the surefire bets, and as the list goes on, things will start moving more into wild speculation and bold predictions, finally ending with 3 things I think we definitely won't see at this year's show. But before I jump into predictions, I want to set the stage overall with what to expect from this year's show. At last year's D23, we got so many major reveals, new rides, new lands, new cruise ships. This year, don't expect that again. D23 in California is the big show, the main event, Disney's Comic-Con, with announcements made in a literal arena. Destination D23 at Disney World is a smaller, more focused fan event. Now that doesn't mean that Destination D23 will be a snooze. We've gotten some really big news here before. Disney even moved it to a bigger venue, Coronado Springs, so they're touting this as the biggest Destination D23 ever. And Disney has so many projects already announced, in active development or active construction, that I'd be surprised if they got to it all at this year's show. But all of that is to say, I'm expecting more details on what's already been announced, and maybe a few small surprises along the way. Editor James here, which means I have some late-breaking news with the funniest timing. Pretty much as soon as I was done recording this video, which I spent many hours researching and scripting, Disney announced the lineup for Destination D23, and there's no parks panel. This exact situation is why your parents say that thing about everyone jumping off a cliff. So yes, I got ahead of my skis in a major way by doing 23 predictions. It just sounded way better than saying 4 things that will happen at Destination D23. But no parks panel doesn't mean no parks news. There are panels on the schedule that could tie into attraction updates. There are at least 4 attractions I talk about in this video later that directly tie into movies that could be mentioned at the Walt Disney Studios Showcase. After all, Disney has dropped parks news in other panels before. At D23 2015, Star Wars Land, the biggest parks news of the decade, was announced at the Live Action Studios presentation.
We're not just building one of these, we're building 2.
And Day 2 kicks off with a 45-minute Villains panel by Disney Experiences about new projects and attractions. Possibly a land where villains could be, who knows? So I have 2 choices. Scrap this video altogether, which I might do to save my pride and not look hilariously wrong about so many things. Or option 2, I could still release it, and here's why you should still watch it. This video essentially acts like a roundup of all the new projects that Disney has announced over the past few years, while sharing the latest news and predicting specific things about them. Also, by watching, you have complete permission to laugh at me about being totally wrong about so many things. So let's jump back to Way Too Many Predictions McGee and see what he has to say. But let's start things off with a warm-up, the easiest predictions of projects already announced for 2025 and 2026. Prediction 1. The Zootopia Better Zoogether 3D show is confirmed to be opening later this year at Animal Kingdom. I bet we'll get an opening date. The Zootopia 2 movie comes out on November 26th. If it's not that date, I would bet something close. I think we'll also get a look at a scene from the show in motion, and probably the Clawhauser animatronic that will be part of the show. And as a stretch prediction, maybe one of the actors will show up to promote both the movie and the attraction. 2. Speaking of feats of synergy, the Mandalorian updates to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run have already been announced for May 22nd, 2026, the same day that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie comes out. IGN reported at last month's Unreal Fest Orlando, Imagineer Asa Kalama revealed that the show game computers on Millennium Falcon will be upgraded with the latest graphics cards, and talked about how they're increasing the attraction's visual fidelity. My prediction is that we'll actually get to see some of those visual upgrades in action, like maybe part of the Tatooine sequence. Kalama also talked about how on each of the planets you visit on the ride, there will be new routes or new secrets to uncover within them. So I think there's a real opportunity here for Disney to position this as a major upgrade. Better gameplay, better graphics, better planets, better ingredients, better pizza. Pizza Planet confirmed to be coming back to Hollywood studios. Wait, scratch that. No Pizza Planet, just the Millennium Falcon parts. 3. Muppet Rock and Roller Coaster is confirmed for 2026, with the Aerosmith version of the ride closing sometime early in the year. I don't think we'll get a closing date for Aerosmith's farewell tour, because I think this event is more about getting people excited about what's coming, rather than getting them sad about what's going away. So I think the focus will all be on what Muppet Rock and Roller Coaster will look like. Maybe a rendering of the new look of the outside of the building, the inside of the line, or one of the oversized props that will be in the ride. And I also think they could reveal what music artists will be featured on the ride. Disney's initial announcement said that the Muppets will be, quote, teaming up with some of music's biggest stars for a rockin' music festival. This is speculation, but that reads to me like there will be several musicians to make up a randomized song list like Guardians. So it would make sense for Disney to reveal at least some of the bands you'll hear on the ride, which, who knows, could still include Aerosmith. I'll throw that in as a bonus prediction. 4. Bluey at Disney World and Disneyland. At the end of 2024, Disney announced that guests would be able to meet Bluey and the whole Healer family at Disneyland and Disney World, and that details would be shared, quote, in the months ahead. Now, months ahead could technically stretch on until the heat death of the universe. That's a lot of months, but still months, I guess. But it feels like we're overdue for this. My prediction, we'll see Bluey, Bingo, Mum, and Dad taking the stage, and we'll get an update on when and where the meet and greet will happen on both coasts. I bet by the end of the year. Another bonus prediction, as part of the Animation Courtyard reimagining, Disney said there will be a fresh new Disney Junior show replacing Disney Junior Play and Dance in 2026. Feels like safe money that this will prominently feature Bluey, if it isn't just a pure Bluey dance mode dance party. Speaking of the Animation Courtyard's reimagining, I think we'll get a few quick new details about the Walt Disney Studios area that's coming in 2026. Which I'm going to be covering in much more detail in next week's video. This news is very fresh, but I think we could maybe see concept art of the inside of the Magic of Disney animation attraction and get an idea of what kind of interactive exhibits will be there. But I think it's equally possible they'll just mention that they're doing it and move on because the news is still very fresh. 6. We'll get news about Magic Kingdom's current major refurbs, like a reopening date for Big Thunder Mountain and an explosive look at the new magic coming for the ride. Or an extra enhancement coming to Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin that hasn't been revealed yet, like new designs for the targets. Both of those rides will reopen in 2026 after very lengthy closures. Next, let's move on to the projects coming in 2027, and this is the likely zone, where we're far enough out that we probably won't get a ton of details, but close enough that I feel good that we'll get some kind of update. And I will be at Destination D23 covering all the news both here and on my social channels, so be sure to get subscribed to see how right and most likely how hilariously wrong I am about all of this. Prediction 7. The Tropical America's Land has been announced for 2027 at Animal Kingdom, and construction is underway. I think we'll get some smaller but interesting details, on the level of maquettes for the ride vehicles for Encanto or Indiana Jones, concept art of the play area they confirmed that is coming to the land, or details about the dining options. I feel like Julieta's Arepas con Queso would be a slam dunk here. Although one thing that would make me lose all semblance of professionalism and start hooting and hollering in my seat is if they announce that real capybaras will be coming to the land. 8. The Coco Boat Ride at California Adventure is something I'm personally really excited about. It'll feature great music and animatronics, which is always a killer combo. And the construction timeline just recently got pushed up, starting in the fall of this year, which is earlier than expected. I keep seeing speculation that this will open in 2027 or 2028, so my prediction is that we get an opening year of 2027 and maybe a new piece of concept art. I'm guessing that it would be too early to see any of the animatronics in action, but I would absolutely love to be wrong about that. Okay, this is going to be a stretch, but hear me out. I think we'll get another announcement that something else is going to be opening earlier than expected. The expansion of Avengers Campus at California Adventure, including Stark Flight Lab and Avengers Infinity Defense. Speculation I've seen online has pegged this at either 2028 or 2029, but here's my argument that it will actually open in 2027. Disney has really been rolling with timing attractions around major movie releases. Millennium Falcon is the exact day of Mandalorian and Grogu. The Zootopia show should be at least close to Zootopia 2, and Avengers Secret Wars will hit theaters in 2027. That is a major crossover event and the conclusion to the multiverse saga. The Infinity Defense ride is another major crossover story and features jumping through the multiverse. The other thing is that Secret Wars is currently set for December 17th, 2027, which is about as late in the year as you can get. Construction on this expansion began in January of this year and recently just went vertical, so that would effectively give this almost 3 years to build, which is about on target for a major expansion like this. So I'm going to put my neck out there and say Avengers Campus expansion will also open on December 17th, 2027. Before we move beyond 2027 at the US parks, let's take a quick detour for what I think we'll see from the cruises in international parks at this year's Destination D23. 10 Disney Adventure World updates. When the World of Frozen Land opens in Paris next year, Walt Disney Studios Park will officially be rebranded to Disney Adventure World. I think we'll get an opening season or month for that, and possibly another update on the Lion King Land and Flume ride. I've been seeing models from that project pop up a lot in YouTube videos over the past few months, so it seems like there might be more to share there. 11 Spider-Man updates. A Spider-Man coaster is coming to Shanghai, and a Spider-Man drop tower is coming to Hong Kong. I wouldn't be surprised if they swing in a few new details, like the attraction names. 12. A completely new Space Mountain is coming to Tokyo Disneyland in 2027. This thing looks bonkers. I covered it in detail in my Future of Tomorrowland video earlier this year. I doubt we'll get much, but possibly a construction update and confirmation of the new name, which has been heavily rumored to be Space Mountain Earthrise. 13. Disney Cruise Line updates. I bet we'll see some more about Disney Destiny and Disney Adventure, the cruise ships that are debuting later this year. At last year's D23, Disney revealed 4 new cruise ships that are coming from 2027 through 2031. I think it's possible that we could get a name reveal for the 2027 ship, but that might also be saved for D23 2026. Now let's sail on back stateside for the projects that are presumed to be coming 2028 and beyond. I'd rank all of these predictions like I'd rank myself as a teenager at my high school dances. Confidence is shaky at best. All of these have already been announced, so we could get new details or they might not be in the show at all. But let's start with what I feel best about. 14. Monsters Inc. at Hollywood Studios, where construction has already begun. I actually doubt we'll get more about the roller coaster than what's already been revealed, but the new show that's coming to the old Muppet Vision Theater is a complete mystery. The newest concept art for the land shows this theater being called the Globe, which I think is a play on the Globe Theater of Shakespeare fame, so I bet that this is a full-length production of Hamlet starring Mike Wazowski. Outside of that, maybe we'll get an opening year, which I would peg for 2028. 15. Avatar at California Adventure. This expansion is confirmed to be taking over part of the Hollywood backlot, with the Monsters Inc. ride closing early 2026 to make way for the Na'vi. I think we'll get another look at the ride and maybe confirmation about the ride system, which is rumored to be the same innovative rotating boat ride that is used at the Shanghai Pirates of the Caribbean ride. 16. Cars at Magic Kingdom. Construction walls are already up for Piston Peak National Park, which is replacing Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island at Magic Kingdom. We've already heard a lot about the rally race ride that's coming to this Frontierland expansion that I lovingly call Nissan Frontierland. But like Monsters Inc., the second attraction here is a mystery. All we know is that it's for all ages, and my prediction is that we'll get a better idea of what type of attraction that is. 17. The Villains Land at Magic Kingdom, which I think is the furthest out of any of these projects. But the land is confirmed to have 2 attractions, and last year's concept art shows a roller coaster. I predict we'll get a little bit more about these rides, like what they are on a big picture level. I think we could also get more about the story of the land. So those are my predictions about everything that's already been announced and what I think we might learn about them at Destination D23. But I also think there will be some surprises in store, so here are my 5 way out there guesses on what those surprises could be. Prediction number 18. The Haunted Mansion Parlor has been a smash success on the Disney Treasure cruise ship. And Disney World just added 2 attraction-themed lounges this year alone, with Geo 82 at Spaceship Earth and the Beacon Barrel opening later this month next to Pirates of the Caribbean. I think Haunted Mansion Parlor is so popular that they will bring a version of it to Magic Kingdom. Kind of like how Trader Sam's was a hit at Disneyland, so they brought a new version of it to Disney World. They're already expanding that area of the park, and with the way that everything is speculated to be laid out, the Haunted Mansion Parlor could be a good transition point between Haunted Mansion and the Villains area. 19. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge will be expanded in some way, probably with the table service restaurant that was part of the initial concept of the land. 20. A new concept is announced for Wonders of Life at Epcot. I always thought a Big Hero 6 attraction could make a lot of sense in World Discovery, but I saw this prediction at the Boardwalk Times that Inside Out would take over Wonders of Life, and I really like that idea. You could have different exhibits and activities themed to the different emotions. And it would be fitting because Inside Out director Pete Docter also worked on Cranium Command as one of his first jobs. 21. A big celebrity will make an appearance, and I think that will be Pedro Pascal. Not just because he has ties to two of the big new projects that Disney's working on, but also because he's contractually obliged to show up in everything this year. 22. And speaking of Mr. Fantastic, I think that this might be my biggest stretch of all. But after talking about all the projects that Disney has already announced, I think Disney could surprise us by giving a Marvel-style year-by-year timeline of when all these major projects will debut through the rest of the decade, which hasn't been their style in the past. I think for understandable reasons, opening dates and timelines have only been given 2 to 3 years in advance or far less. But since Epic Universe opened, I keep seeing comments to the effect of, wow, Universal just opened a whole park, and Disney's response is only a parade, or only a redo of Test Track, or only a Pirates Bar, or only this, or only that. Now, my whole attitude on the Disney versus Universal thing is that it's kind of silly to think of it in that way. Competition is great. When Universal opens great attractions, it's great for Disney fans. Not only because it pushes Disney to compete and outdo them, but also, hey, there's a great ride over at Universal you can now go on. It's the wow, 2 cakes approach to theme park fandom. It's a good place to be. But I do think there's an opportunity for Disney to puff their chest a bit. After years of people writing about how will Disney respond to Epic Universe, Disney can now lay it out all in one slide. And also address the legitimate criticisms and fan skepticism that came from Tron taking 5 years to build. While I'm going out on limbs, here's what I would predict for the lineup through 2030. And even if I'm only 80% right on this, we are going to have an absolutely stacked 5 years as Disney and theme park fans. So that's a lot to be excited about. Let's break some hearts with prediction 23, what we won't see at this year's Destination D23, which are actually 3 things in one. The first 2 are things I've seen predicted in a lot of different places, and they're things that I really do want to happen, but I just don't think that they're going to happen this year. First, I don't think we're getting the Journey into Imagination redo. Sorry, Figment, but fans have been clamoring for this for so long that it feels like that would be a D23 level big deal announcement. I do think this has got to happen at some point, but I've also been saying that now for like a decade, so what's another year to wait? Also, the one year I say it definitely won't happen is probably the year that it actually will happen, so I'm predicting this for selfish reasons. Second, I don't think we're going to get the redo of Tomorrowland at Disneyland yet. That's been another thing that's been swirling around forever, and people are reinvigorated by Fantastic Four's Tomorrowland-inspired retro future aesthetic. They even included the People Mover song in the movie, it's a sure thing. But like I said in my Future of Tomorrowland video, I think the direction really depends on fan reaction and box office performance of Fantastic Four, and that's just too soon to tell. Plus, I don't think they're going to start any major construction during Disneyland's 70th anniversary anyway, so if this does happen, I think it's another D23 level announcement that might happen next year. So no return of the People Mover yet. Finally, the thing that I'm most confident in all of this video, there's not going to be a new park announced. Because there's going to be 2 new parks announced. 5th gate at Disney World, 3rd gate at Disneyland, and it's all fan service. There's 55 People Movers, 55 Figment rides, all the best rides from Tokyo Disney Sea, plus Great Movie Ride, Horizon, Splash Mountain, Muppet Vision, they're all coming back. Even the Ellen ride, I don't know how we feel about her these days, but sure, throw that in. It's all happening! Huh. I don't know what took over there. I think all these predictions legitimately broke my brain, but to be clear, no new parks. But I think we're going to get a lot of exciting announcements, so stay tuned for my Destination D23 coverage, and as a bonus, I'm going to be grading myself on how accurate I was on all of these predictions. The grade's gonna be really bad. But I want to hear from you. What do you hope that Disney will announce at this year's Destination D23? Let me know. This has been James from Guide to WDW. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon.